Howdy, my name is Billy Moran. I'm Director of Marketing here at Uplogix, and I'm talking today with Adam Thompson. He's one of our sales engineers.
Hey, everybody.
And we're going to be talking about the NSA's guidelines for using out-of-band management to improve your network security by segmenting your network traffic from your operational traffic.
Yeah, this is a great paper that they came out with recently that details extensively what you want to do in terms of that. There's two different approaches that they outline in terms of segmenting your management traffic from your operational traffic, your business data, whatever that might be. And it's either virtual or physical segmentation, right? So virtual means that you're using VLANs or VPNs or software-defined networking to virtually separate traffic that is on the same hardware, right? So you'll have the same switch, but half of it will be segregated for management traffic, and the rest will be network operation or whatever your business use is. So you have the same piece of equipment, but you're splitting it up with software into different parts, virtual segmentation. And the other is physical segmentation, where you've actually built a second physical network of some type, whether that's like the Army and the government does, where they have the NIPR and the SIPR. They build completely separate networks that don't touch. And that's obviously a lot more secure in terms of separating those your command and control versus your business data. Yeah, there's no touching, there's no overlap, and it also means that you've got more redundancy, right? If there's a problem with the hardware on your operational network, right, you still have your management network, hopefully, and so you can use that to try and fix your operational network. Physical separation, virtual separation, regardless of which way you go with, regardless of what you choose in terms of that, there are a couple of things that they recommend anyway. First of all, you want to use encryption, right?
Sure.
Which of course, Uplogix, we're up to date on that stuff. TLS 1.2, IPsec VPN, right? It's all baked into the Uplogix. And you want to use that when you're connecting over the network, right? Especially if you're doing virtual segmentation and your management traffic is going over your production network, you want to have that in a VPN or somehow separated if you can, just for security. Okay. You want to harden your network devices, right? This means that you turn off unnecessary services that could be vulnerable points, right? Right. And this is one of the other great things that Uplogix lets you do. Because you have dedicated console access to your equipment or dedicated individual network connection, you can turn off Telnet on your routers and switches, and you don't have that vulnerability out there where malicious actor can just get in and potentially attempt to change configs, right? Redirect traffic, sure. That sort of thing.
So it's only listening on very specific, controlled.
Exactly, yeah. And we've even had some customers who turned off all network access to their equipment, and the only way they could get at it was through the Uplogix, which is just much more secure. Sure. Because the Uplogix is monitoring the network and reviewing logs. That's the other thing that they talk about. You have to test the network to see how it's doing, right? And the Uplogix automatically does that, right? We continuously will test the network, and when we see that there's a problem, we bring up the out-of-band connection. Whether that's on Ethernet inside your management network, the virtual segmentation, or if you're using our cell modems or the V92 phone lines, that's an on-demand, out-of-band, physically separate network. Right. So you've got the redundancy and the security that goes with that.
So the testing, is it done from like the NOC, or is this testing done in the rack?
Right, yeah, and that's the difference between us and a lot of other products network management systems out there, is that we build our intelligence and our capabilities into the edge device. So our remote units that are sitting there connected to your equipment, they're testing the ability to get back to the NOC, usually. You can do other tests as well, but they're continuously testing the network to make sure that they're able to reach their control center, the central server. And we can do other tests as well from the managed devices or calling from branch office to branch office. It's highly customizable, and we do really recommend that you do test your network continuously, so you can detect when segments are going down or even when a link is problematic sometimes, right? Like let's say there's peak traffic during certain times. We can detect that and notify you of it. Configuration management procedures, that's the other thing that they recommend, and the Uplogix has a great story with that. we're doing backups. We're saving all of your configs and your OS images on the Uplogix in the rack with your remote gear.
Okay.
And so that means that if there's a problem, cyber attack, right, or
Right.
just dead equipment, we've got all the backups there at the remote site ready to push back to your gear. So,
Gotcha.
if in the case of, let's say there was a configuration change, a malicious configuration change made on a device. Right. First of all, because we're continuously monitoring the configurations, we'll see that change, we'll know when it was made, and we can undo it if need be, right? So your network team can be aware of what's going on, right, and can easily and quickly revert any sort of problem changes, whether it's malicious or a fat finger something when you're typing
Right.
an ACL, right?
The infamous Gartner stats about downtime and human error during configuration.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And so it's just great. This NSA paper, it just aligns with our design principles in Uplogix, and in a really great way. It's a great opportunity to talk about best practices and just how Uplogix really brings that above and beyond. Right. We essentially are an on-demand, out-of-band network that gives you command and control. Right.
Right.
You know what's happening on your gear. You have direct access and control over what's going on if you need to make changes. And because, again, with our cellular or the phone lines, it's a separate network.
Sure.
That gives you, the redundancy that you need in a case of an outage, or if you're doing a cutover, right? Mm-hmm. You need to have that separate network so that you can get access to your gear without having to, drive or fly down to the site, right?
Adam, thank you very much.
Yeah,
Appreciate
great.
you talking.
Great talking
today.
to you about this, yeah.
And we'll put a link to the document we're talking about, and we'd, of course, be happy to talk with you about how this applies in your network and what all we can do for you. Thanks.
Thanks.